How's it going? Welcome back to another great video with the majestic one, Savior. Yes, today we're going to be taking a look at one of the greatest games of all time, and I know a lot of people won't like me saying that, but honestly I think ever since Cyberpunk 2077 got basically the Edge Runners update, it's been more than playable, and that's when I basically binged all of the content and finally completed it and doing all the side objectives. And finally now we get even more reason to go back into this amazing world, because what CD Projekt Red created was just amazing. Okay, the world and the lore and this city, Night City, is a character within itself, and I think what they created was truly something special. It's just they didn't have the hardware to back it up on release, especially for last gen consoles, and they were scummy and they did lie about it so they could get more sales. But we don't need to bring up old history. I think we all know what they did was very bad and criminal, but it is time to give this game another chance. I did make a Cyberpunk 2077 review in 2023, basically looking at Cyberpunk 2077 in 2023, and I did a philosophical analysis of the deeper themes, because this game is very mature. It's built for mature audiences, and that's why I truly care about this game, because not many games make you think as much as Cyberpunk 2077. So if you want to watch my full breakdown and analysis of Cyberpunk 2077, I'll leave it down below in the comment section, so go check it out. But today we're just gonna look at Cyberpunk 2077 2.0. Yes, the rebirth, not 3.0. Now it's not as high-tech and sophisticated as me. Clearly I'm operating at a higher AI level. By the way, I'm not a real person, this is all AI generated. But it's not 3.0, but yes, this is the 2.0 update, and I do think that finally this game is what it should have been on release. So we're just going to break down all the details and what you need to know about 2.0, and basically give you this Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 review. And I will be covering Phantom Liberty, but I'm going to do a separate video on that. So let's just talk about the updates, because some of you might just want to go back and see if this game is actually for you, play through the campaign if you never touched it because you were waiting for it to be fixed. Well, finally it is fixed, and then if you find yourself enjoying it, maybe then you'll get the DLC. So I think it's important just to cover what has changed in Cyberpunk, so let's just get into it.
Where's your cute little ass rushing off to?
Papers.
Shut up and take my money!
Now before we get into the Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 review, I will just quickly say, if you do like the music in Cyberpunk 2077, if you like the cyberpunk industrial synth music, then my new album Nova, which is very heavily inspired by cyberpunk, that's literally what got my start in music, was cyberpunk and the song Purple Nova, which is my most popular song. But I digress. My new album Nova is now out on Spotify. Go listen to it. I'm sure you will actually really like it. It's not like any other electronic music. It's not like any other synthwave music you've heard. It's a hybrid genre, so check it out, save it, add it to playlists, and I would appreciate it a lot. And let's get on with the video. So now more than ever, Cyberpunk 2077 is an RPG, okay? And before it was kind of a light RPG, and still it doesn't have many consequences and choice. Yes, there are some consequences, yes, there is some choices to be made in the game, and some things will be different, but it's not that type of RPG. It's more of a gameplay RPG, not so much a story RPG, where basically you can have different branching paths, although there are several endings, and like I said, that does exist, but just don't expect the same degree as something like Starfield or Fallout New Vegas or something like that. This is more similar to Fallout 4, I would say, in choices. But what has massively changed now is how you actually interact with the world, and basically customizing your character and your playstyle. I know a lot of people don't like Starfield for some reason, but one thing that the game has done so well at is basically making the player focus down on their, playstyle and their choices, what kind of character you want to be, what kind of person you want to be in this world. And just like in Starfield, Cyberpunk 2077 2.0, you will have to choose what kind of person you want to be, what kind of playstyle you want. You can't just be a jack of all trades. So if you want to be a badass ninja who dodges around using the new dash ability and who can deflect actual bullets with a katana, then you can do that now. Or if you want to be a massive big brute who, basically with gorilla arms and just goes around and bashes people up with a sledgehammer, or can pick up enemies and throw them at other people, you can actually do that now in Cyberpunk 2077. So the skill tree and the perk tree have been completely overhauled. You will have to respec if you've already started this game. So that is super cool because you can mix and match to some degree. You could be a lightweight character but with gorilla arms instead of mantis blades and still chuck enemies around. You don't have to go down a complete one-way playstyle. It's not boring like it used to be where you could only do a limited number of quick hacks and basically it didn't give you much customization. Now you can literally become a complete beast just like in the show Edge Runners, and you can quick hack a whole army of enemies. So yes, now you can actually upload quick hacks by using your monowire, and being a netrunner is a proper viable option now. And the fact that basically there's just so much more customization now when it comes to Cyberpunk 2077. It is truly a great action RPG now because you can just build your character in so many different ways, and it's not just like an increase of percentage, you will get more critical hits, or you will have the ability to slow down time slightly. No, these are proper actual big abilities like jumping out of your car when it's going super quick, barreling into a bunch of enemies, and then flying out of it, basically like Spider-Man on crack cocaine, and then landing down and doing some kind of cool finisher with mantis blades or something like that. You can even ride a bike now and just decapitate enemies while holding your katana while you're driving. So they've completely overhauled Cyberpunk now. So I'm kind of a little bit annoyed because I honestly love this game so much. Like I said, watch my full breakdown. I talk about literally everything, the philosophical aspects of it as well, and the kind of deeper nature of it. But already the world was so rich and just interesting. The NPCs were super stupid on release, but now they actually react to you. You will actually sometimes even fight civilians if they actually feel like they can take you on, which is super interesting. But still, it did feel a little bit lifeless. But now with 2.0, it just makes this truly feel like a GTA Cyberpunk game, and that's what everyone always wanted, because now the police have been completely redone. Because before they would just spawn, and sometimes you would see them just spawn out of nowhere and it just killed immersion, but now they actually go on patrols, and if you do get in trouble with the police, before you could just run down the street and that was it, and you could just get away from them. No, now they literally chase you down on foot and in vehicles, because yes, you can now have complete shootouts in vehicles. You can shoot while driving a vehicle yourself, and the police can also do that. And then if you piss them off enough, just like in GTA, basically, at some point they will release the hit squad mass tag on you, and that is when you are in deep shit, because basically this acts as 4 or 5, I think it's like basically mini bosses that you need to take down. Think of them as almost cyber psychos. So that's a real challenge, and I just like the fact that they truly went for that kind of GTA police system where it is all about line of sight. So you'll be driving around, they will set up roadblocks and all that kind of stuff, so it truly does feel like everything that we ever wanted. And then you have to basically find a quiet spot underneath a bridge or a tunnel and just wait out for police, or just drive off into the nomad territory. So it's super interesting, and I'm just so glad that they finally patched it and made it the game that we all wanted it to be, because so many developers just leave their games in the dust if they were broken on release. But luckily they just kept making it better, and with the release of Edge Runners, and then the updates, and now 2.0, and then of course a whole new DLC that is coming, finally I hope people see that Cyberpunk 2077 was always a good game. It was a lovely golden egg, but sadly it was just coated in tons and tons of shit, and people just couldn't see past the massive amounts of diarrhea smeared all over it. But now finally it's been cleaned, it's been polished up, it's beautiful once again. So I think that a lot of people are going to be excited for Cyberpunk 2077. Now, another big plus in this Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 review, like I said, I'm breaking down all of the details. I'm covering stuff that a lot of people haven't talked about because I actually took the time to do the research. So basically, driving has been completely overhauled as well. So before, it did feel a little bit stiff. They did fix it with some updates, but it still did feel a little bit floaty. But now everything has a lot more realistic weight and mass to them. The brakes feel sharper and the acceleration just feels a lot quicker. And I noticed that with the previous updates, but now it just feels even better. So you won't just be flying, you know, off a bridge. Now they have actually added some kind of Cyber Psycho mechanic. Not exactly what I wanted. I wanted it to be, you know, proper Cyber Psycho. Like if you have too many implants, then you will just at some point just lose control and start shooting, killing a bunch of enemies and stuff like that, and then you would have the police come after you and you would have to deal with them. But no, it's not like that, but there is now a limit to how many implants you can have, and basically there is a perk and basically an ability that kind of simulates the Cyber Psycho thing, and also they've just kind of made Cyber Psychos more prominent and much more deadly now because of how your health and stamina works in 2.0. So before you could just spam yourself with, you know, a bunch of health items. I would have so much and I never basically felt in any danger because I just constantly spammed the basically asthmatic inhaler, which basically calmed me down and it made me focus, and I wouldn't ever have to worry about enemies or anything like that, even if I was playing on hard. But now they aren't items, okay? They are simply on a cooldown, and I think that was a smart decision. Just like with Dark Souls 2, as much as I love that game, I think, you know, having an abundance of health items, like, you know, little gems that you would just crush constantly to basically give yourself health, it does take away some element of the danger. Also, stamina now will drain a little bit more quickly, and it's not linked to your sprint, it's more to do with your actions. So that's another thing that you have to think about. So it just makes the game more tactical now, and that you can't just rely on, you know, kind of cheesing it, because once you upgrade your legs and you can just jump around, it's far too easy just to escape the line of sight of enemies and just heal up and then go back. Now there's going to be a little bit more challenge to it, and I think they're doing that because with the new DLC, it's going to be a lot more darker, and there's going to be basically a lot more danger in that part of the city. And finally, in this Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 review, I'm just gonna quickly talk about the UI and the changes with the map and all that kind of stuff. So basically they just overhauled the menus, so it's just a lot more crisper now, and it's a lot more detailed. Also, they've added a ton of new animations. The only complaint I ever had with Cyberpunk 2077 was the fact that it felt a little bit limited with the interactions that you can have with NPCs, and especially, you know, the characters that you meet. Don't get me wrong, the relationships and the writing is what makes that game so amazing, and like I said, just watch my full breakdown analysis of Cyberpunk 2077 in 2023 if you want to know about that. But I wish you could basically, you know, spend more time with them, do more activities, a little bit of that kind of GTA essence in Cyberpunk, and then for me, it would surpass, I mean it already does surpass GTA for me, but that would just make this literally an S tier game. And sadly, they haven't done that kind of updates. It just makes the game basically feel 100% more fleshed out and playable and polished. They haven't completely overhauled the city, so it is still a little bit, you know, if you're not doing story missions, then there isn't a lot to do, or gigs or side quests, stuff like that. So bear that in mind. This isn't a complete remake of the game. It just has made it a lot better, and the main thing to take away from this is that now you can truly feel like this is a proper RPG with deep customization. It was already good on the gameplay department, the shooting, everything felt good, but now the fact that they give you so many different abilities, so many ways to interact in combat, or, you know, how you go about doing these missions. Now, you know, being a stealth build is even more viable and even more interesting, or, you know, being a heavy brute berserker, that's even more viable. So they've just made it a lot better. And of course, they've even overhauled, you know, stuff like clothing, because a lot of people didn't like how that worked, but they've basically redone pretty much everything. And of course, now it looks even better because it's exclusive to next gen with the DLC and stuff like that. So I just think now is the perfect time and I'm glad that they finally fixed it, because Cyberpunk 2077 to me was always an amazing game, one of the best games ever made, and it was more than just a game because it had a message to tell, and finally people will be able to experience that and enjoy more immersion and realism with the game because of how NPCs and police react. So yeah, it's a good time to play Cyberpunk 2070. Okay. So yes, it's a good time. So it's a good time to play Cyberpunk 2077. I'm having a bit of a cyber psycho attack myself because I've been yammering about this for far too long. So I hope you did enjoy this Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 review, and I will cover the DLC very soon, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day. Make sure that you do subscribe and check out my music on Spotify. Yeah, I've already said that. And I'm gonna go. Bye bye.